at a council meeting of the 2016-2021 term of the Cllr District Municipality will be held via Zoom on Wednesday, 28 April 2021 at 11 hours to consider the items as set out in the agenda. We did the count and we are a quorum. Let me take this opportunity to welcome everyone. Morning, Mr. Executive Mayor, Deputy Executive Mayor, all the members of the Mayoral Committee, councillors, aldermen, elder ladies. I'm glad to see that we've changed the gender a bit inside the council chambers. Most welcome, elderly Lady Wilmaras here in our midst. Our municipal manager, executive managers, our other precious staff, my good advocate next to me, Secretariat. Thank you so much for preparing this agenda. I wish everybody a productive meeting and thank you so much for your attendance. May I ask that we observe a moment of silence, have a silent prayer. And I said to Rihanna earlier this morning, my heart bleeds for the people in India. I mean, 350,000 positive cases per day. So let's think of those that are affected and are being affected and had been affected by COVID-19. And I want to change it around. Gender-based violence, let's think about the children and the ladies that also still suffers from that terrible, terrible issue. Thank you so much. Can I ask all gentlemen please then to stand? Thank you. Thank you. I've received an application from leave of absence from Alderman de Vries, Councillor Chokolo, Councillor Ben van Wyk, and Alderman Gericke also indicated that he will join us a bit later. Any other applications for leave of absence? Thank you.
Speaker.
Thank you, Alderman.
Speaker, I just want to check with you. Did you receive anything from Councillor Venolia Gungabele? Because she also indicated that she isn't well.
Alderman van Liffen, I haven't received anything. Can she just send something that can be printed as well? If it's a WhatsApp, I need to print.
I'll arrange that, Speaker.
Thank you, Alderman.
Good morning, Speaker. Just apologies for Mr. Lusanda Menze, Executive Manager, Planning and Economic Development, please.
Thank you. Am I audible to everyone? Okay. Because I'm trying to get the mic as close as possible. And then?
Thank you, Speaker. Good morning, Executive Mayor and Councillors. Speaker, I just wanted to submit on behalf of the Chief Finance Officer, Mr. Jan Willem, the Jager is also on leave. Thank you.
Thank you. That you want to start to? There are no further applications for leave. Can we then proceed? Item 4 of our agenda is noting of the provisions of Schedule 1 of the Code of Conduct for Councillors of the Local Government Municipal Systems Act 2000. We note and we still confirm that we'll adhere to the code. Noted. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Then we move to disclosure of interest of councillors and officials. Any pecuniary interest on any item to be considered today? None. Can then we move then on to our Executive Mayor for his communications. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, please allow me to greet those who are online, those who are following this from home. And I also know that at times we also do have huge listenership on Eden FM. Allow me to greet them all, Mr. Speaker.
Like the item must be withdrawn. It's going to be charges against them.
I notice some are still in caucus, Mr. Speaker.
Wow, that's very interesting.
Can I ask that everybody please mute themselves? I don't think we intend to act disrespectful, Mr. Mayor. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, once again, we're known and we are prone for disasters, no matter what the size of it. We are in the season where we see a lot of fires. We had the Cape Town fires, and Mr. Speaker, and the people of the Garden Route, we were not spared. We had our own fires in the Oudtshoorn area. And Mr. Speaker, fortunately, no lives were lost. And I'd like to convey our gratitude to all the firefighters, our own team, the Garden Route team, and a special thanks to the George municipality, as well as the Oudtshoorn municipality. They fought that fire as a collective team. And as I'm saying, Mr. Speaker, we're just grateful that no lives were lost. And we still have to be very vigilant when it comes to the notices and warnings that we do send out on a regular basis regarding fire warnings. Also, Mr. Speaker, it gives me great pleasure to convey to the them who've been approved, and we were very excited to go and visit them on
There's a problem. I
at that
can't hear.
facility. And
Speaker.
can you hear me now, Alderman?
Yes, now, but if you start speaking again, just check.
Okay.
I think there's something loose there. There's a loose wire or something.
Okay, Alderman van der Werven, my apologies for the inconvenience. But Mr. Speaker, as I was saying, that we visited the Cater Care facility. There were 19 students, and they were very excited, and so were we. We are now just looking forward to go in and taste their trade. And at the same time, Mr. Speaker, we also had a function where we acknowledge those who got external bursaries from us, as well as our grant in aid beneficiaries, Mr. Speaker. So those are all signs that we practice what we preach. Mr. Speaker, in the same vein, we know that gender-based violence, it's a commitment which we've made as this council, that we will continue to fight the scourge of that. And last week in Mossel Bay, again, we had a summit with all the stakeholders and role players present. And my call, Mr. Speaker, is for every one of us to step up the game and to make sure that we definitely fight this on a daily basis. Mr. Speaker, and to our colleagues, this is also going to be a very, very busy week for us as the Garden Route District Municipality, because we are honored, Mr. Speaker, that we will have a huge entourage coming into the district. We have the Honorable Deputy President of the Republic of South Africa, Honorable Didi Mabuza. He will be here on the 30th, but he is making his way through the district on his way to Bito, where we will be handing out land to that community, to the community of Covey. And so the Premier of the Western Cape, Alan Windy, will also be in our region, and he's also, or he will also be accompanied by his entourage. So once again, Mr. Speaker, and to the colleagues, it is an indication that indeed all eyes are always on the Garden Route, and that is because of the path which we have created for ourselves in terms of doing what we've been elected to do, and to give people what is rightfully theirs, and to change their lives and dignities. So as the garden route, we will be hosting those dignitaries, Mr. Speaker, and hopefully we will be at our best behavior as usual, because we're also known for that. We don't play politics with these government events. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Executive Mayor. I can confirm that I've received a WhatsApp just now from Councillor Gungubele. I will forward it to you, Diana, the Secretariat. Thank you. I see Councillor Spies. Would you like to say something? Okay. No. I saw you. I saw you loading your gun there, and I thought you want to go.
Speaker, sorry, I'm struggling to put up my hand.
Thank you, Alderman van der Hoven.
Can I quickly come in here, Speaker?
You're welcome.
Speaker, first of all, thank you to this mayor for the commitment that he will not make politics of events like the visit of the deputy minister, of the deputy president of the country. It is appreciated because we are up to the running to the local government elections. But we can just check whether you are going to keep to that, Mr. Mayor, and all the other relevant political parties. That's number one. First of all, Speaker, I also just want to say on a lighter note, I see Councillor Spies is keeping my seat warm. I don't know whether that can predict something. I think you already exercising to move to the opposition seat. Thank you for that. And Mr. Mayor, lastly, why don't you recall my calls or return my calls? That's the last. I close, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Alderman. Councillor Spies.
Thank you, Speaker. Yes, Councillor van der Hoven is just a sign of things to come. Shows you how many seats you're going to lose at the Garden Route on the 27th of October. Seriously, Speaker, I would like to congratulate the ANC on a well-fought and deserved win in a by-election in Knysna. It's not the end of the road. And as well as Beaufort West. I know it's not in our district, but still congratulations. I would just, as the mayor has already indicated, silly season is upon us, and I would like to, as the chief whip of the DA, I'd like to ask the DA councillors, as well as our colleagues across the aisle, to please lead in this election cycle. Please do not be the ones to politicize social help to our citizens, to not politicize delivery that is not connected to your portfolio, no, your own local government. Let's please continue to deliver in the last 6 months as we have for the past 4.5 years. Let's continue to work towards leaving a council here for the that's intact and moving forward and upwards for the next collection of people that are going to be called Garden Route Council. Thank you very much. Congratulations to the ANC again.
Thank you very much, Councillor Spies. Thank you, Alderman Executive Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm sure that Alderman van der Hoven can attest to this, that I usually always return his calls, and this must have been an oversight, and I'd like to apologize for that. I will engage with him offline after this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. From my side, it has been confirmed that during our Speakers Forum meeting that we had on Friday by Mr. Bunches that he received a letter at the end of our meeting that there will not be no increases in the upper limits. But we're waiting. I haven't seen anything formal yet, Mr. MM, but it was just during our meeting reported from his side, because he normally addresses the speakers and the chiefs on that issue as well. And then, Mr. Mayor, please accept my apology for not being able to attend tomorrow's meeting. We've got an important council meeting at Mossel Bay, and later that day, also a special council meeting. But I'll try to connect as soon as possible whenever I can do that. That's all from my side. Thank you, Mr. MM. Councillor Harris.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker and all councillors and officials. Mr. Speaker, as we all are aware that the President has announced the date of the 2021 local government elections. Will we continue with our program as usual, or will we be notified in time that there will be some changes up to the local government elections?
Thank you. We know that our councillors are involved in preparations for the coming elections. We'll try to not unnecessarily call council meetings, but the show must go on, and we must still deliver services to our people. But I will definitely, it will not be unnecessary. And what we'll also try to do is that we can try to combine more than one issue for that specific day, so that you can be able to do what you need to do. Thank you. Amen.
Thank you, Speaker, and good morning again, Speaker, Executive Mayor, and all councillors. Just a few things from my side. Yes, Speaker, since the announcement by the President, we will be receiving the Gazette for the date of the elections. That is going to assist us in SALGA to plan the rundown towards the end of this term, and we'll keep the councillors updated as to what are the changes in the program. However, we will be finalizing our planning processes this month to approve the budget and the IDP. Speaker, because of what the Mayor has mentioned, the visit by the Deputy President and the Premier, we are not able to proceed with the IDP Rep Forum as planned tomorrow. So I hereby would like to advise Council that Rep Forum is being postponed to a date still to be determined. Okay. We can't be able to have the Mayor absent in a Rep Forum of the IDP because it is actually his work. Last weekend, one of our colleagues, Mr. Mbem, was laid to rest in the Eastern Cape. You recall the one who was in the horrific accident of the fire in Thembalitu. We had prepared to transport our staff as requested. However, they were not able to attend because of some taxi industry issues in Thembalitu. That they understand, it was not on our side. It was something beyond us. I think, Speaker, that should be that from my side. But to not forget, I also want to, on behalf of management, I did this morning, to thank our firefighters for a job well done over the weekend. We are very proud of them. They must keep up the good work. I'm very happy that they were keeping us informed and that there were no fatalities. So, thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much. Amen. Can we move on with our agenda then? Approval of minutes of the council meeting. It was held on the 30th of March, 2021. And I would just like to present some corrections from my side. G1 on page 33 must read be approved, goedgekeur word. And the way I understand isiXhosa, sezokuba, means that it's been adopted. So the isiXhosa version is correct, but the English and Afrikaans version need to be corrected. That's all from my side. Any further input, perhaps, that you would like to make on the correctness? Elder Lady Kurtzinger?
Yes, Chair, thank you very much. It's just, I don't know if in this, I've availed this to the administration that the Mayor and Executive Mayor that we address in correspondence, that we do it in the right way, and then I would like to propose that we accept these minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. That is then the minutes of the council meeting dated 30 March. Seconder.
Mr.
Thank you,
Speaker.
Councillor Law.
Oh, Councillor May, I want to second the proposal of Councillor Kurtzinger.
Thank you. We then consider the special council meeting dated 30 March, pages 37 to 47. Just one thing from my side. The heading of B1 refers to the IDP, and I think we need to, it was a budgetary item, so can we just change the heading? The rest is fine. Any other input?
Sorry, Speaker.
Good morning, Alderman.
Yeah, hi, good morning. Good morning, Mayor. Morning, Speaker, colleagues. I have joined the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome, Alderman Gericke.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Proposal and seconder then for the special council meeting minutes.
Also propose.
Thank you, Elder Lady Kurtzinger proposed. Councillor Law says seconder. Thank you. Item 10, the minutes of the mayoral committee meeting and section 79 committee is none. The mayoral committee meeting dated 23rd February 2021. Thank you. Can we note with thanks those the minutes?
Noted. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Elder Lady Kurtzinger. We note the minutes. The MICOM. Can we then move on to the standing items? 12.1. Oh, my apologies. The 10.2 is the minutes of the local labour forum and the minutes of the budget steering committee that we also need to take note of. My apologies that I dealt with all in 10.
Speaker, the minutes should be for consideration and not for noting, please, regarding those two committees. Thank you.
The way I understand it, and when I read the LLF minutes, is that it still says aanbeveel word, or that it be considered, or that it be discussed. I'm sure that I cannot comment on the correctness of the minutes because we were not part of thereof. It is for that forum to do it. So we cannot approve those minutes, in my view. If there are reports that must come from the forum or whatever the case may be, it must be by means of a report, separate report, and not a resolution contained in the minutes, unless I understand you wrongly now, other lady.
Yes, Speaker, just on a point of information, this aren't these minutes regarded as the reports to council because they have to, these section 79 committees need to report to council. Aren't these actually reports to council instead of, it's minutes?
Can I ask that everybody that's not speaking to the house, please mute your microphone? No, the way I understand it, that separate reports subsequent to those meetings must then come to council. That's the way I understand it. Thank you. Can we then move to 12.1?
Sorry, Speaker, my hand was up on this one.
Thank you, Alderman. You're welcome.
every committee approve their own minutes. Council can't approve a committee's minutes, Speaker, and therefore you are 100% correct. It is just to take note.
Thank you. Our Executive Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, now that we're dealing with committee minutes, etc., just for information, Mr. Speaker, it came to my attention that the absenteeism rate is still too high in some of these committee meetings, Mr. Speaker. We don't form quorums more often than none. So, Mr. Speaker, my plea through you is that the councillors must again do what they used to do by attending these meetings. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Executive Mayor. The new Municipal Structures Amendment Act will place the obligation on the Speaker then to play an oversight role over Section 79 and 80 committees as well. As we speak now, it is the Executive Mayor that does that. Thank you. Can we then move to 12.1? Appointment, service exits and labor relations information for March 2021. Pages 79 to 86. Elder Lady Kritzinger, thank you.
Yes, Chief. Thank you very much. This is just a standing item that we deal with on a monthly basis. It's regarding the appointments and the service exits, disciplinary actions and process, and the staff components. All HR policies have recently been revised and approved by Council. Quite a few, I see in this report, quite a few EPWP contracts came to an end and new appointments would probably be made as new projects commence. And then it's good to see that at this stage that we've got a 42% female employment basis with 58% males. I think in future it will definitely be get closer to the 50-50%, and then I'll also see that we've still got the problem regarding people living with disabilities, that we should really do a lot more to get more people with disabilities to be accommodated in the organisation, and then the recommendation on page 79 must then be noted. Thank you so much, Chair.
Thank you so much. Yes, I also appreciate Lady Kritzinger, the fact that for the people living with disabilities, as I read in the report, I think it's the last paragraph there, that we also contact institutions where those people are receiving treatment or do have contact details of these people, that we also send it to them. And it just shows the effort that the Garden Route is also serious to appoint people living with disabilities. That is a Section 52 report. It reports the responsibilities of the Executive Mayor, pages 87 to pages 140.
Thank you once again, Mr. Speaker. In terms of the laws and the powers invested in my position, I hereby table this for Council to deliberate and to take note, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Executive Mayor. Can I just, sorry, before we proceed, is it fine with everyone? We resolve that you do have the agenda on your tablet, and you can follow the reports on your tablet. And that is, somebody said, but we can't see anything, so we moved the agenda off from the screen, and you can only see the people in the council chambers now participating. And when somebody speaks and he puts on his camera, then we will also be able to video listen and see. Thank you. Seconder for the Section 52 report.
Speaker, my hand is up.
Thank you, Alderman van der Hoeven. Please proceed.
Sorry, Speaker. Seemingly you can't see our hands any longer, Speaker. Surely you need to get someone that just alert you if there's a hand up. Speaker, I don't have much to say on this one. I think we are fairly on track. I still see the minus 100% and whatever, but obviously that is is not a true reflection of what is going on. We have lots of explanations in that regard, so we oversee that. I see there's underspending of the remuneration of councillors of 23%. So surely we can expect a payback soonest. But the rest, Speaker, I think, or perhaps we can just explain why is the minus 23% on the payment of councillors. I'm sure I know why, but perhaps let's just get it official.
We can get it official as well, but we were very unfortunate at this municipality. I counted the other day how many councillors were not only replaced but also passed on. So it was we had a huge turnover as a municipality, I think. But let me give the municipal manager an opportunity.
Thank you, Speaker, and thank you for the question. Thanks, Speaker. I will recall that at the beginning of the current financial year, we had budgeted for an increase for councillors, and that increase is dependent on the minister then publicizing the upper limits notice, which she has not done for a very long time. We are now aware that she is going to publish it at zero increase. So that would then become a saving in the salary budget of the municipality. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Emma. Executive Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, apart from the I don't know what the word is now, but Mr. Speaker, apart from our colleagues who have passed on, and you and the MMF rightfully alluded to that aspect. But Mr. Speaker, also, there's a vacancy in my mayoral committee meeting, or a committee, and it will be filled soon. So probably in the next meeting, I will be making that announcement. Thank you. The opposition may apply. Thank you.
Alala. Thank you, Mr. Executive Mayor. Thank you. Seconder then for that Section 52 report.
Speaker, yes, Lamajeen here, Councillor Lamajeen. I second the proposal by the Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lamajeen.
Is this the Mayor's next to last report, or is there another one before the elections?
Can we refer to the term? Let's refer to the term and not to the position, but it's fine. I understand that it's a light-hearted comment that you've made.
I think Speaker, he still has got two more reports to table. One for the second quarter and the other for the third quarter. The one in September or August should be the last one.
Thank you, Amen. Can we move then to Section C? As the appointment of acting municipal manager, of an acting municipal manager in terms of Section 54A of the Municipal Systems Act. Got the report, pages 141 to pages 144. Comment, input? Straightforward, Amen?
Yes, Speaker, it's a straightforward report. It's normal. It's to ensure that council has got a roster of people that are going to act should the proper be not able to do so. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the proactive thinking that you also lead us on that with the executive mayor. Thank you. Proposal and seconder then for C1.
I will propose right.
Deputy Executive Mayor Reiters, Elder Lady Kritzinger, thank you for that. Can we then move to D1? It's a deviation report, implementation of the supply chain management policy for the period 1st of March 2021 to 31st of March 2021, pages 145 to page 150. D1, any input? I'm hearing a voice, but I can't see the hand from where I'm sitting.
It's me, Councillor Lamborghini.
Thank you, Councillor Matiwane. Can you perhaps just turn up the volume a bit from your side?
Brian here. Just hang on, give me a minute. Can you hear me now, Speaker?
Can hear you better, thank you.
Speaker, this is a straightforward report, Speaker. I would like to propose that we accept this report from this, on my side, Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we have a seconder then?
I second.
Thank you, Councillor Spies. Can we then move on to section E? As reports from our Corporate Services Department. It is the restructuring of the section 79 and section 80 committees. Elder Lady Kritzinger, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Speaker. With the sad loss that we had with two of our colleagues and the replacement of Councillor Johnson, vacancies on some of the committees must be filled again on the section 79 and 80 committees. The restructuring of these committees can be seen on page 155 to 157, and councillors should take note thereof. And then I trust that I thus want to propose that the recommendation as on page 151 be adopted. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rihanna.
Speaker, you have a hand. Alderman van der Hoven.
Thank you, Alderman van der Hoven.
Thank you, Speaker, for acknowledging my hand for the first time. It is a breakthrough. First of all, Speaker, as indicated here on this documentation, Councillor Nkolem Dumisu is fulfilling the position of the property and assets management, and I will do the workplace restructuring.
Thank you very much, Alderman.
Speaker, good morning. It's Councillor Struble. I would like to second the proposal of Alder Lady Kritzinger. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I also, due to the fact that there were vacancies on the restructuring committee, I took the liberty and I requested council to ratify my allocation of councillors on those vacancies so that that committee could function. But there you've got it, the proposal and seconder. Any other hands?
I just want to make sure the Councillor van der Hoven for the, but Councillor Ndemiso for the other two section 80 committees. Okay, got it.
We've got it. It's recorded. Alderman van der Hoven, I'm trying my level best. And you know, I've got two sets of glasses here, but I still find it difficult to see the hands. But I've got some assistance from the Secretariat. Thank you. My apologies, it's not intentional. Let me repeat myself. If I do not respond to your request when you show your hands, please intervene and to say, Speaker, this Councillor Matiwane, hope you enjoyed your birthday. Speaker, then I know you want to speak. Apologies from the Speaker. Thank you.
Speaker, you're a good speaker, so
all I can say, Alderman Verhoeven, I am because of you. Ek is vanweë almal. Quarterly progress, it's report F. It's a quarterly progress report with regards to the establishment of a district food bank. And pages 158 to page 170. And I've been informed by our executive manager, Cllr Africa, that we will receive a presentation in this regard. And we're looking forward to the presentation. Thank you so much, Carl. Those that still haven't joined the Facebook page of the food bank, please do that and share it. But thank you. Please proceed.
Thank you, Speaker and councillors. It's not really going to be a presentation, but just a status quo update in terms of the donations received and the meals that were distributed at this stage, Speaker. When we submitted the report, you know, there was another, I think, 30 extra tons of peanut butter that we received. But let me allow you to you know, for Carl to just to give you an update on where we are now. I think really, Speaker, we can be very proud of this project. Remember, this is the first 3 months, you know, activities in terms of the operations of the food bank. So allow me just to hand over to Carl to give you an updated report in terms of all the activities of the Garden Route Food Bank. Thank you.
Thank you very much, the Cllr Africa. Carl, please proceed and welcome.
Thank you very much from our side. It's always a privilege to be here, so I appreciate the opportunity and I appreciate the invitation to these very important meetings. So yes, as Mr. Africa said there, now we are really very, very happy with the progress. I constantly have to look back and realize that we really only started this about 3 months ago. And I think the progress in the last 3 months is indicative of the success that we can expect. And maybe just to elaborate a little bit on that. So I think as everybody may recall, and I'd just like to re-highlight again that we have 3 arms or 3 legs, however you want to phrase it, to what our work is in the community. And the first one being trying to source donated goods, and that would be from anybody that's currently in the food industry, whether it be a farmer.
Apologies for that. It was an old Led Zeppelin song that we tried to play for you, but it's been, the song has ended due to the noise thereof. Please proceed, Carl. My apologies for the technical glitches.
No problem at all. So yeah, so we're sourcing from a variety of places. That particular leg, we would like to see that still developing a lot more. We are getting some help from some of the farmers, but I think there are a lot more farmers that could be contributing, and we are busy working on that together with Agri as well. The local supermarket chains, unfortunately, have not come on board yet, but I am pushing on those buttons quite hard, and we hope to see that that will also change. And we are starting to see a few of the smaller enterprises, the fresh produce shops, restaurants even, that are starting to contact us and starting to donate to us their excess goods that they can't use no longer, you know, in their shops or in their restaurants any longer. So that will be used for immediate relief that we can give to the feeding centres across the garden route. The second arm to our product, our business, which is the one that is more important for me, is the fortified goods. And that obviously is trying to provide people who are suffering with severe malnutrition or severe hunger with not just food, but healthy food that will actually fight against and combat malnutrition. And at the moment, we've got 2 products. The one is our biscuit that we have presented before. We've got a little bit of delay in the biscuit because we need to manufacture that on site, and we've had a little bit of a hiccup just getting the electrical side sorted out. But we are busy, and that should be up and running within the next, if not the next week, then at least soon after. And then the biscuit run will continue. And then we also received, which we are extremely happy with, a very specialized product. It's called Easy Paste Nut, which is a fortified product, meaning that it is based on peanut butter, but it has a substantial amount of nutrients and vitamins and proteins in it. It's actually developed by a company called Cllr.Gericke, an international company, and it's developed specifically for distribution through UNICEF. So it is a very well, I've been asked to put the video on, and I'm quite happy to do that. Maybe it helps a little bit. There we go. Very well received product, and we initially got a few tons of that. It was 12 tons, and we got another 12 tons. But right now we have managed to source about 54 tons of these goods. A small challenge that we do have, and I think this elaborates one of our needs, is that the products have been given to us free of charge. They've been donated to us through Cllr and through one of the service clubs in Cape Town. However, we do need to pay for the transport of the goods to George, and it needs to be fetched in bulk. So we've had to hire an interlink truck on 3 occasions, which costs about just over 10,000 Rand per trip. And we've had 3 done. We were actually offered another 20 tons just in the last week, which sadly we couldn't accept because we just didn't have the funds for it. But that just highlights the need for us to have the support of the districts and the community in not just providing food relief, but also our cash flow, if I can put it that way. But with the 50 odd tons that we have already, it equates to about 1.6, 1.7 million Rands worth of goods. Then our third arm is the gardening program, which also to me is very important because we need to get people self-sufficient, and I don't need to elaborate on that. I think everybody is very familiar with that already. And we're very fortunate last week to have got confirmation from the Solid Noah Foundation that actually heard our story on one of the media sites on SAFM radio. And we've been in negotiation with them, and they are funding to start with 40 garden units that we are able to get 40 gardens up and running, everything from the training through to the supplies they need, right down to the seeds. And we're going to do those 40 in identified feeding centers that are already receiving aid from us, because it helps us to encourage them by the fact that they are receiving aid from us. They need to make sure that they manage and run their gardens effectively, and we will monitor that through photographs on a weekly basis, and hopefully grow that. Well, not hopefully, we will grow that further and into more areas as we proceed. So I think, in a nutshell, we are sitting with close to 2 million Rands worth of food that we have already received and able to distribute, which has a value. Which has approximately around about 650 to 700,000 meals that we already have, that we've resourced or sourced. So I think this has already proven itself to be successful. I don't know if there's any questions, but that's just a brief overview of where we are now.
Thank you so much. I see Cllr Lichaba. Please proceed, ma'am. Good morning.
Speaker, it's quiet on the side.
Yep, I can now see the hands of Alderman Gericke as well. It's Cllr Lichaba, Alderman Gericke. Are you there, Cllr Lichaba? Can you hear us?
Thank you, Speaker. Yes, I can hear. Good morning, councillors, and good day all. My question is, first, we welcome the reporting from the food pantry, and we are very excited of this project because it has came the right time and is a great initiative from ourselves and with our partner to really make sure that this project so that our people can be alleviated in their time of need. However, from Speaker, just from the accountability
Cllr Lichaba, we've lost you. We've lost your audio, not you. We're waiting to reconnect you.
Speaker?
Yep, you're back. My apologies, we've lost you somehow.
Not good. Yes, I'm sorry for that. My network is not good this morning, apparently. I will make it quick. Just from the accountability reporting, is that for us that we are as funding at the moment it was important.
There's again a break. Mhm. We see that, or I've been informed that you are disconnected at this stage in time.
Speaker?
Yep, there you back again.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I just say that at least if we could have had a budget that had coupled this, so that we know just in terms of line items, are we funding salaries? Are we finding, in terms of operation, what are we finding? But this is a good initiative. And
I can't hear Councillor, but I can respond to what I hear.
Just a second, Carl. So, sorry, Cllr Lichaba. I know when I follow Zoom meetings at Reebok from Muscle Bay, if a plane goes over my house, it's gone. And then it comes back again. It's very unreliable at times, as living next to the coast. But let's try again. I think Carl heard you regards the funding of the operational costs, if I heard correctly. Carl, can I ask you that we first give Alderman Gericke and any other councillor also opportunities to forward their questions or to submit their questions, and then you can respond in the end, if that's fine with you, Carl? Alderman Gericke, please proceed.
Thank you, Speaker. Hello?
I'm listening. Please proceed, Alderman Gericke.
Okay, Speaker, I just want to place on the record, we have been in full support of the establishment of the food bank. That is just for the record. And we welcome the initiatives of the food bank to provide in the needs of the needy, the poor, the hunger. In terms of this report, I just have one or two questions. On page 163, we see that over 22,000 meals have been given to needy people already. I just want to know, how do we categorize or define a meal? What is it that we give to people? And how do we make sure that we do not repeat the same people over and over? Meaning that if you give a person today, then he's there over 2 days again and over 3 days. I just want to understand, how do we keep register of the meals? Then we see also in some wards, there's an over-concentration of meals. I want to know how did it come about? You will, for instance, see in Golden Valley and Blanco 4,000, and then Cornwall 4,500. And then you come down, you see Tembeletu, only 600 or 800 meals, and so on and so on. What is the difference there? How does it work? That some wards are over-concentrated and some wards, have much more less than that. And then Mr. Carl just spoke about the one statement that he made was they receive from some of the outlet excess goods that they can't use anymore. Please highlight us on this. If they cannot use it anymore, is it usable for the end consumer, for the other people that you are giving it? We have read on Facebook some reports that people say they have received food that has expired. I just want to have some clarity on this issue. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Alderman. Any other input or questions? Councillor Harris?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Now we are also in full support of this initiative and project. What we want to know from the gentleman is, are there any nutritional experts or practitioners involved in the identifying of food for certain type of people with diabetics or whatever other disease? Do they cater for those people? And do we as the Garden Route municipality have any reps on the board or committee or the food pantry? Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Am I correct in saying that I don't see any other hands? I think you can only see this number of councillors, and I think you can move that way or that way. I don't see any hands in front of the screen in front of me. Nothing. Thank you, Carl. You've received the inputs. Please proceed.
Speaker, Councillor Buskett here. Speaker, as Councillor Buskett, I propose.
Can we just, thank you. Can we, before you do that, can we just give Carl an opportunity to respond to the questions? And when we include the input and the comments, we can proceed with the proposal and second thereof. Can I ask Carl to proceed, please?
I'll address them and I'll try and be brief. I know you've got a long meeting, and if I do happen to do something else. Just to begin with, Cllr Lichaba, who asked about the operational expenses, or basically where the money is being used. As was initially mentioned when the proposal was done, one of our biggest challenges is that we are creating and getting food wherever we are sourcing it from, and we're giving it out for free, which is the obvious way it has to go, because we are providing to those most in need. So there's no funds being generated in the pantry. It's not a product that's being sold that ultimately brings money into the system. So in order for us to be able to operate the operating expenses, such as, for example, the rent of the warehouse that we have, the electricity, the transport, salaries, that kind of thing, we had to work out our budget, and we've managed to bring it down to that 55,000 Rand a month, which covers basically everything we need to be operational. And that's why the MOU was presented to the municipalities as a 55,000 a month operating expenses, so that we don't need to try and source that funding elsewhere. Because the challenge, obviously, as well, is that we can approach businesses to help us financially, but businesses don't fund operating expenses, they fund the provision of food. Which makes it extremely difficult. So yes, that 55,000 Rand a month is to go to all the operational expenses that we have. So that was for Cllr Lichaba. And then Alderman Kritzinger, thank you very much for your question. Sorry, not Kritzinger, Alderman Gericke, thank you very much for your questions as well. So a couple of things you mentioned. First of all, you asked what constitutes a meal, and that's a very, very good question. So what we do is, for example, if we send out a bulk supply of food to a soup kitchen, which includes a variety of goods, whether it be broccoli and cauliflower, which we do get regularly, and soya mince meals and rice, etc., we work on an average portion size, which is around about a cup, to 200 to 250 ml cup, that we estimate that being able to provide. Obviously, when the feeding centers register with us, they say to us they feed 20 people or they feed 100 people, and then we try and provide accordingly as much we can. So the meals are based on that. It's a little bit of a calculation that has to be done, providing, on the provisions that are given. Then we also work with, if we take, for example, the peanut butter paste that we have, those are therapeutic meals. They are produced as a therapeutic meal that's actually packaged accordingly by UNICEF. So one of those little sachets, which is a 92-gram sachet, is equating to one meal. What we do say to people is that those must not be seen as the only meal they get for the day, but it is providing them with all the nutritional input they need. so that if they don't eat anything else for the day, at least they are getting the nutritional input. But hopefully during the course of the day, they still get extra goods as well. So those are also considered a meal. So it's anything that it constitutes a meal. Obviously, porridges are the same, etc. Then there was a question as to how do we prevent the same people getting. So we work very much on a rotational basis, and this is dependent on the food that we're able to get in. My operationals manager that I have on site, she records all the details, obviously, as to what comes in and what goes out, so that we make sure that we cycle through the feeding centres, that we don't have one centre coming 3 times a week and another centre that's only coming once every 2 weeks, that we cycle through them fairly, and then we can get everybody basically in. We would like to get to a point where we can have every single feeding centre getting food from us on a weekly basis, and right through the whole district. And that is obviously the goal, so that we can provide them with everything they need, or at least add to their work. But at the moment, we're doing pretty well on making sure that that happens. The amount of food they get per ward is also very dependent on the registered feeding centres. And I want to put this out to all the councillors that are here as well, is to encourage in the regions that you are, any feeding centre. And when I say a feeding centre, that could be a soup kitchen, it could be a small creche, it could be a church that's feeding meals, it could even be Auntie Sunny who lives in a street and feeds all the kids in the street every afternoon. As long as it's a centre of some sort that is feeding a number of people, they can register with us, and they register on our website, and they go on into our database to receive stock from us as and when we can. If some wards are getting more than others, it would simply be that they have more feeding centres registered for now than the other wards do. It's for that reason alone, and then obviously the number of people. If there's 20 people registered at that feeding centre in that ward, but another feeding centre in a different ward has 200 people, they're likely to get more stock from now. So it comes down to how many people are in the feeding centre per ward, and we do keep track of that as well. And then a very, very good question as well from Alderman Gericke was with regard to receiving expired food and excess food. So it made reference to a Facebook post about receiving expired food. That definitely wouldn't have been. I just want to clarify that wasn't food that was received from us. I know there's often talk about things like that, but that certainly wasn't a Garden Route Food pantry comment. So when we talk about food that we receive from restaurants or from shops, they have a sell-by date, but the sell-by date is not the same as the use-by date, or the use-by date. So when a shop basically gets within a day or two, or even on the day of the sell-by, they can no longer sell those foods, and it has to come off the rack. But they still have, in most cases, it differs from product to product, but it could be up to 2 or 3 months thereafter that the foods are still usable and still quite healthy to consume. Same with restaurants. Sorry, just before I go to restaurants, some fresh produce places as well. We get a lot of stock from a fresh produce place here as well, and if the leaves on the lettuce on the outside are starting to wilt, it's not good on the shelf anymore, but you take the outside leaves off and there's nothing wrong with the lettuce underneath. It's that kind of aspect. And then, as I was mentioning, restaurants, we obviously don't take in food that's already, we talk about food stock that they have in stock that they can't use to cook with any longer. Although at this stage, we're not getting anything from restaurants, it's only the shops, two shops that are supplying us for now. Yes, Councillor Harris, if I'm not mistaken, asked about nutritional experts. So we do 2 things here. We are working closely with the Garden Route District Municipality with the Health Department. We've already had 1 inspection, and we welcome those just to make sure that we keep everything on board.
So sell-by dates could perhaps still be usable. So I'm very glad to hear there's a difference between sell-by and use-by. I think I still got some use-by list. But thank you so much, Carl. Alderman Gericke follow-up, and Councillor Harris follow-up. Councillor Lichaba. Councillor Lichaba, are you fine with the response? Then I'll give to Alderman Gericke and to Councillor Harris an opportunity. And then I don't know, Mr. Meyer, or that you would like to close the debate, and then we can have the proposal in second. Can we do that way? Thank you, Alderman Gericke. Your last bite. Second bite.
Mr. Speaker, I will come back for the last bite now. I think Mr. Call was still busy answering Councillor Harris, if I'm not mistaken.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Alderman. Carl, I don't know if you'd like to repeat the response to Councillor Harris. In short,
very brief. Inspections by Garden Health Department, which we welcome. We had that done recently.
Nope.
Because we had a donation of entered
no,
plants.
I'm sorry, Carl, we can't hear you.
Oh. Hello, hello. Is there still
It's a
nothing?
bit better.
Okay. I'll carry on if I can be heard.
Yes, please.
Great. So with regard to the health, so we do welcome inspections by the Garden District Municipality's Health Department, which we have already had one of, mainly because we got a large donation of dented cans, and I needed to know if those dented cans were suitable for use. So we definitely will maintain that. And then when it comes to our fortified goods, we have an agreement with the CPUT, Cape Peninsula University of Technology, the nutritional experts that we work with. So in quick answer to Councillor Harris, yes, we do have nutritional experts on board that work with us. And then his final question was, is there a representative of the Garden District Municipality on our board? And the very quick answer to that is no, there isn't. It is a completely privately run organization. Thank you.
Thank you, Carl. Thank you, Alderman Gericke.
Thank you, Speaker. Just quickly, not holding up the debate, but there's a lot of things said that's highly debatable, really highly debatable, because if the sell-by date is not suitable for the restaurant, then we can most probably debate how is it then suitable for the end user in terms of what the food pantry is supplying. But that's a debate for another day. Let's leave it right there now. I just want to ask the municipal manager through the speaker. There is an over concentration on some of the wards. Some wards receive thousands of meals and others just hundreds and so on. The availability of the register or the drawing up of the register, how people register, the procedure there. Is the municipality involved, the district municipality? Are they championing this, or is it solely in the hands of the food pantry, or who else is doing this to register some people on the register of the food bank? I'll tell you why. We have expressed our concern right in the beginning that we said this should be a purely administrative function. The politicians have made the decision, so no politician should be involved. Yes, sir, and this. We are serious and staunch on that point. How about the municipality driving the process of registering people and organizations so that this process is not under suspicion, that is a total independent process, and that we can all agree on this? Thank you, sir.
Sorry. Alder Lady Klitzinger, and then the MM. I don't know if you would like to respond. The Executive Mayor is going to close the debate. Thank you, Alder Lady Klitzinger.
Yes, just on a point of information, please, from a previous speaker. I believe Alderman Gericke has also collected food from the food bank. So I don't know when politicians are supposed to get involved and when not. So it makes it rather difficult. Who's allowed to get involved and when not?
I can't hear anything, Speaker. Can you speak? I cannot hear anything. Can you repeat, Spies, dit wou wat jy nou so lekker lag, laat ek hoor wat jou dametjie daar sê. Ek kan niks hoor hierso nie.
Thank you, Councillor Spies.
Councillor Gericke, the short answer is that there are no politicians as district councillors or anybody else involved in the registration process. What you can and what you must and should do is to ask the feeding centers, the soup kitchens, the creches, the churches in your ward or anywhere else in the district that you know of that distributes food to register on the Garden Route Food Pantry database. And that process from there on is fully administrated by the food pantry. Nobody else gets involved there, not an official from the garden route, not an official from Knysna or George or anywhere else. So please get yourself and anybody else that you feel can reach out to other food centers to register on the database. And that is the only reason why there's, not the only reason, but that's probably the biggest reason why there is a discrepancy in the different and food delivered to different wards. I personally have invited 2 creches and 1 soup kitchen in the ward that I'm responsible for in Knysna to register, but that's as far as it goes. You can only ask them to register. If they don't register, they're not going to get food. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, I have asked the administration of this municipality to answer me and not councillors. So I'm asking the municipal manager. The municipal manager said right in the beginning that the municipality is in possession of a database when we started this, of all entities, churches, and so on. So I'm just asking, can the staff, the personnel of this municipality reach out and eliminate the involvement of politicians? Because politicians are playing politics with the provision of food. That is a fact. So I'm just posing this question to the municipal manager. Thank you.
Thank you, Emin. Would you like to respond?
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I think the response is that all feeding schemes, soup kitchen, churches, or any other society that is involved in the feeding of people must register in the database. Then only will they be able to access the food. We are not administering the database as the municipality. Everybody else has been referred to the food pantry for them to register. We are not involving municipal officials exactly to run away from any accusation of favoring anyone. There are no councillors involved in the identification. You can only encourage your feeding schemes or soup kitchens in your area or anywhere else to register. We really want to keep the distance between us and the food pantry so that we are not accused of any political shenanigans, Speaker, in this whole process. Thank you.
Thank you, Emin. Liana?
Cllr Lichaba raised the hand, and Mr. Clive Africa.
Thank you. In that order, Cllr Lichaba, and then our executive manager, the Cllr Africa, and then I'm going to request our executive mayor to close the debate, and then we can get a proposal in a second. Thank you. Cllr Lichaba.
Thank you, Speaker. From my side,
can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. From my side, is that, Speaker, I think
Can you, sorry, Cllr Lichaba, can you just switch off one of the devices?
Speaker?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to say, I think we, from our side, we need to advertise this as much as, make it wider as much as possible. Because I think that's where perhaps the discrepancy of other areas not knowing about this as much as, I think the most critical thing is that the other municipalities must come on board. The other municipalities who are not yet in this process, that they must.
Speaker?
Yes, are you done, Cllr Lichaba?
Yes, I'm just saying that let us prioritize, because it's important that each and everybody must get this, the access to the food pantry. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you.
When other municipalities are coming on board, when are they coming on board?
Thank you. What I did personally, I can just share with everyone, is that I joined the Facebook page of the food pantry, and I share their posts on my Facebook page. We've got about 1,200 people that could be in read it as well. But yep, I see Councillor Spies' hand is up, and then Mr. Clive Africa. Carl, I don't know if you want to respond further. I think you've done your part. And then I request our executive mayor to have the last say before our Councillor Spies. You next. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. This is not a direct response to Cllr Lichaba, but it is a plea that we all, each and every one of us, please engage our colleagues at the B municipalities. There is a horrible misunderstanding at B municipalities of what this project is. This is not a district-wide food soup kitchen. It is a food pantry, and as the presenter at the beginning said, there are 3 legs of this project. And to think that I know this because I attended or didn't attend, but I watched the Knysna municipalities meeting, and a councillor there suggested that this is a project, a sort of a project for the DA government of Garden Route District Council, which and that they didn't want to let our council take credit for handing it. It's just and from there on it just went downwards. So the understanding of what this project is at B municipalities, I'm not saying all, because clearly some have already signed up, but there is definitely a complete misunderstanding of what this project is at B municipalities and why we need them to sign up. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor Spies. Thank you, Mr. Clive Africa.
Oh, yes, thank you, Speaker. Now I'm covered by the MM. Thank you.
Thank you, Rihanna. I thought I already gave Alderman Gericke his last bite, but let me give you a very small one still. As a last one.
Speaker, let me just give the assurance that we are not spreading the message. I want to place this on record for the entire council. We are not spreading the message that this is a DA project. We have been involved in the decision making. This is just for clarity's sake, Mr. Mayor. This is not in response to Councillor Spies. This is in response of myself that we are not under the impression that this is a DA project. We have all been part and parcel of this decision in this council. Therefore, we are very proud on this initiative. All we are saying is, in order to eliminate and cancel out any political discrepancies or any aspersions being cast on this project, because it implicates us as well, let us manage this the right way. This is all we are begging and pleading for. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Gericke. Thank you, Executive Mayor. Alderman Boyson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, all the questions, inputs, and answers, they are all valid because it is applicable to what we're dealing with. But Mr. Speaker, I want to emphasize that it doesn't matter who steps in. We need to look here at the bigger picture. The only thing here that matters and that might muddy the waters, Mr. Speaker, is that we need to know our boundaries and we need to run within our lanes. And it is correct that whenever we get involved as councillors, there's that fine line of politics stepping in, you know, and Chief Whip, Councillor Spies alluded to the fact in terms of we must as councillors, because we're the ones sitting with the information most of the time, and we're the ones who are leading public participation as councillors. So our participation should be the awareness that this facility exists. So on that note, I agree with all the inputs. And then, Mr. Speaker, I'm also aware, especially based on the questions asked in terms and the responses given, we are aware that there are still logistical challenges, and there are also challenges that is not necessarily based on the products itself. You know, Carl alluded to the fact that there are unforeseen expenses, you know, which we might not have taken into account. Now, those are all matters which we need to deal with collectively to make sure that this project does not fail. And for the record, Carl, I did send you a WhatsApp. I do think that the two of us need to meet so that when I do my engagement with the rest of the municipalities, then I have all the information at my exposure. Thank you. But once again, Carl, you and your team, on behalf of the Garden Route and the municipality, I'd like to convey our gratitude for what you guys are doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Boyton. Thank you, Councillor Wilskut.
Speaker, thank you. Speaker, I propose for this report, please.
Thank you. We've got a proposal from Councillor Rijkster Wilskut. Can I get a seconder?
Speaker, Councillor Meyer will second it.
Thank you, Councillor Meyer. Thank you. Again, I think the Mayor has spoken. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for that. We really appreciate it a lot. Carl, thank you. The next item is F2. It's a regional waste management facility, pages 171 to 178. There's a very faint voice somewhere. I don't know if somebody forgot to mute himself or herself, but somebody wants to speak. Who is that? We don't see any hands. Any input or comment on this item, please?
Yes.
Cllr Lichaba. Thank you, ma'am. Struggling with the internet connection. Seems to be very unstable on that at that side. Anybody else that would like to come in, comment or input? I don't see any hands. If there are no further input or comment, can I then get a proposal and a seconder that we adopt this recommendation? I think the report is quite clear. I don't think it is clear.
Cllr Lichaba.
Thank you. You're back. Please do.
Yes, I'm back. Speaker, I just wanted to talk about the critical part of us having to ask for extension in Petro SA. I think at some time it's going to be a crisis as well. So I think that part we've got to safeguard in terms of health standard, so that also that it doesn't become a crisis. How do we proactively and also assist on that side, so that waste management side, it also doesn't become a hazardous to us. I'm very worried of the lifespan of that waste side.
Councillor
How do we
Chava?
manage?
My apologies, Councillor Chava. We couldn't hear when you stopped to worry in terms of, and then the audio got lost. Can you please repeat that part?
I was saying, Speaker, that I think I welcome the recommendation. However, I'm worried about the part of the asking for on the Petro SA side, because that also it's going to be a health hazard in terms of the too much expansion of that side. So how do we manage in terms of assisting, whether we are recycling or whatever we are doing, so that that side doesn't become a crisis at the end of the day, because we have expanded its time span of that side, and we do not want to have a health crisis at our hands. So how do we also manage that? I think it's also critical for us to look at that. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you so much, Councillor Chava. Our MM indicates that he would like to respond to that.
Thank you, Speaker. Councillor Lichaba is correct, Speaker. It is a risk that we are managing together with PetroSA. The reality of the situation is that it's the only site available at the moment to cover these municipalities. And part of the discussion is exactly what she is saying, to try and reduce what goes to landfill. And that's a struggle that we have carried through until all our residents understand that all our municipalities are seriously engaging in the reduction of what goes to the landfill. So it's part of our risk register, very high up in our risk register, and it is a matter that we are managing together with PetroSA. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Stratu. Can I then get a proposal and seconder for this recommendation? I think Councillor Lichaba, you proposed it with your comments, and I've got Councillor Lawson seconding it. Thank you. Can we then move to F3? That's a status report on the Department of Environmental, Forestry and Fisheries, Adaptive Capacity Facility, Climate Resilient Human Settlements Pilot Program, funded by the government of Flanders. And those people at Flanders, they praat Afrikaans. Ons verstaan mekaar tenminste. So yeah, I think Mr. Cllr.Gericke also indicated that a very competent doctor will also address council in this regard. Thank you, Mr. Africa.
Thank you, Speaker. I'm going to request Dr. Viljoen just to give you a brief background. It's again good money coming to the Garden Route. It's 15 million rand. It's 5 million euros. But allow me to request Dr. Viljoen just to give you some feedback. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Yes, just a bit of background on that Government of Flanders Adaptive Capacity Facility. This is done a project in collaboration also with the Department of Environment, Forestry and Fisheries. The project itself is looking at climate change resilience, especially within vulnerable communities within South Africa. 3 district municipalities was identified as to participate within this project, and one of them was fortunately the Garden District Municipality. So approximately 15 million, 11 to 15 million, depending on what the outcomes are, will be made available for a climate change resilient project within the Garden District. There was 2 workshops already where the Department of Environmental Affairs had engagements with all the environmental stakeholders and relevant stakeholders within the Garden Route. The first workshop, we just had a basic engagement. It went very well. The second workshop, we got down to actually trying to identify some broad categories of projects that we might be looking at. There was also some site visits that happened before the workshops. During the site visits, it was decided that all of the Garden would benefit, but also especially the vulnerable forestry communities within the Knysna area, what they call the bosdorpies in Afrikaans. So at the end of the day, they had a look at all the vulnerabilities within the Garden District, the major climate change vulnerabilities. It included drought management, municipal health, waste management, air quality management. But at the end of the day, the Environmental Affairs indicated that they would like to look at the fire side of the of the vulnerabilities due to the huge extent of fires and the damage and the impact within the Garden district, the impact on human lives and their livelihoods. So we went with fire, and then our recent engagement was just this past week, where we identified the broad categories that included looking at the ecological impacts and effects of fire, looking at the initiatives that would probably be including fire breaks, looking at alien clearing. We also, there was another intervention looking at your technology, which would include camera systems, your drone systems, your early warning systems. The actual projects has not been identified yet, so that will need to be identified, especially through the professionals, the fire management department, the chief fire officer. So yes, and then also another area that we identified that would need support is education and awareness, especially within the vulnerable communities. Education that they know what to do when something like that happens, when there's a fire, the evacuation strategies, how to respond, how to protect themselves better. So yes, that is the current progress of the project. Especially Mr. Fred, Fire Chief's Department will now be looking at identifying more direct projects as they are the fire experts, but it will also be done in collaboration with the other departments, the disaster management, the environmental health, all of the other departments, also looking at your human settlements, all of those departments, and then the exact projects will then be drawn up through the Department of Environmental Affairs in a tender process. So the tender process will be handled by the Department of Environmental Affairs. That is the National Department in Pretoria. So, but yes, that's just in a nutshell where we are currently. And then, so proceeding from here will be the identification, also through some more stakeholder engagement. And then from there on is the drawing up the specifications for the tender process. It will be a 3-year project. And then depending on the outcomes and the success of the project, the government of Flanders have indicated that they might be looking at further financial funding, which would probably be at a larger scale and which would probably cover more projects, and that we can maybe do a thorough project or thorough covering of projects within the whole of the Garden route. So we are hoping that through this project we will be able to get the government of Flanders to actually provide us with that additional further funding, which would obviously also be more than 3 years. So that's just from my side in a nutshell. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Viljoen. I'm sure that you've got some family there in Flanders still. And I know Cllr.Elizabeth TabA is giving me a smile. Perhaps she also has got some family there in Flanders. Executive Mayor.
Mr. Speaker, through you, thank you very much to Dr. Viljoen. This is always insightful to listen to her. And I fully support this initiative and this item, Mr. Speaker. But I'm just raising something else here, which is not necessarily directly related to this, but it is something that the MM need to apply his mind to. Through you, Mr. Speaker, Mr. MM, you know, I'm very paranoid when it comes to fires and everything that goes with it. So whenever fire comes up, new ideas come into my mind, and how can we prevent it, and how can we be best placed to deal with fires as quickly as possible. Now, we all know, councillors, that with a fire or any fire, your first thing that gets affected is your communications lines. Either some towers get burned down or telecom lines get burned down. My question here is to the MM. Mr. Speaker, when we were in China, we saw an IP in China where there's a helmet, 3D helmet or something. I don't know what it's called. You guys would know. But Mr. Speaker, with that helmet, whoever is leading the fire, with that helmet, what that person sees, it gets transferred to the jock and it gets to the pilot, whether it's the helicopter pilot or the fixed wing bomber or something. So they don't need a cell phone. They don't need nothing. Everybody see what's happening on the scene, because at times firemen are in trouble and we don't even see that, and we're not even aware, you know, where firemen die in fires because there was no communication, or we can't get to a spot because no requests were received. So I'm just thinking, MM, what stops the garden route, you know, by getting engaged in these kind of technologies? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Executive Mayor. Amen.
Thank you, Speaker. The Mayor is correct. We saw that item used in China. It's also used in mining activities to record information and send it to a central point. It's similar to your body cams that are being used by the police that is uncovering a lot of usable evidence in violent interactions and in bribery that is taking place. You will recall when we were presenting at the state plan, we made a point that as a district municipality, we need to be very clear on how do we intend funding the fire services going forward. Because as things stand, it does appear to us that it is rendered on a free basis. So otherwise, Mr. Mayor, I think the technologies that are being developed, it's something all of us all the time we're looking at, including the one that you've raised. And we'll make sure, I suppose, in terms of any other support like this, that we can get from even funders when we do not have money, that we ensure that we consider them. So in terms of just purchasing tomorrow, that will be the only problem, but it's part of the planning that we have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Amen. Any further input? Cllr.Gericke TabA, thank you.
Yes, Chair. I would just like that we propose, I propose that we take the recommendation on page 118 into consideration, that we take note. Thank you.
Thank you. You've got the recommendation. Thank you, Cllr.Gericke TabA.
Speaker.
Alderman Gericke.
Sorry, my hand is up for quite some time. Let me just also weigh in on this report and say this is a proud moment, even for this municipality. I want to congratulate and commend Dr. Viljoen for the presentation. And this is indeed what you call forward planning, particularly for our region and for our district. We thank you very much for the initiative of this department, that we don't regress, but that we progress in this region, and that we look even after the natural resources that God has given us. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much, Alderman Gericke. My apologies. I'm not able to see your hands, but thank you. You've got a proposal. Can we get a seconder? Was that a seconder? Councillor Lose? Okay, thank you. Can we then move to F4, update report on the actions taken by the District COVID-19 Command Council to address the COVID-19 pandemic, pages 184 to 205. Any input or comment on this item? Gerrit, sorry, Mr. Africa. Is it arranged that Gerrit would like to make further presentation? I see here on the screen. There's an update, further update. Am I correct in my perception?
Yes, Speaker, I'll be very quick today because I've got good news. It looks good. So I've just prepared a couple of slides for Council. Can I proceed?
Yes, please do, Gerrit. Thank you.
I just don't want us to forget what the past did. So I'm just reiterating where we were. The first peak for our district was on July 2020. And then the second peak was double the first wave numbers, peaking in late December. For July, we had a total of 5,704 patients. And then 145 deaths. Looking back at January this year, 29,130 cases, then just under 1,000 deaths. And then today, we are standing on 33,947 cases with 1,340 deaths. 5 more deaths compared to last week. Then if I look at the figures, 20th of April, just for the last week, I've been monitoring this now for the last 4 weeks again, just looking at where we're going and what the trends are. It actually looks good because active cases we're on 242 and for today we're on 249. So there is a little bit of an increase, but bearing in mind it comes from a very low very low figures at each of the local municipal areas. So you will see, although there's percentage increases, it looks big. It actually is not that many cases, additional new cases that's been reported in all of our areas. I have made this slides available to be distributed to councillors so you can look at these at leisure. In addition to that, also been looking at active cases per 100,000. Although we're above the Guardian is above the Western Cape figure of 31, we're around about 40. It's the only area that we've seen an increase is actually in Oudtshoorn, that has gone up from 61 to 64 active cases, or now 65 active cases per 100,000 of population. Then looking at the Department of Health, the feedback, there's no work pressure at this point. They're managing, there's no staff issues. They still got their huddle meetings 3 times a week. And then I'm also now part of their huddles on a Monday, trying to keep abreast with planning in terms of the COVID vaccination planning. And then if I look at the vaccination, for now you will see that, you know that it was halted, the J&J vaccination. They've got the green light now to go ahead again. I think by the end of this week, we will be doing the J&J vaccinations again. We are standing on 4,337 vaccines that has been administered up until before the halt. And then we've started with the phase 2 and 3 planning. I've actually forwarded the phase 2 and 3 planning to everyone on our district command center platform for inputs. And we have now realized that the registration process might be the easier part, but the bookings, that might be a challenge. And we're also looking at how we can engage to assist the Department of Health in terms of resolving the booking challenges that we might have. Then looking at the phases, you've seen this. This might change in terms of phase 2. I've heard that there's more emphasis of going only in terms of age groups and not necessarily maybe looking at essential workers as well. So we're waiting for updates on that. If I look at what will happen with the distribution of the vaccines, it will mostly go to the pharmacies, the sub-district pharmacies, so that's in local municipalities. So there you've got the list of where it'll go. We're looking at the transport of that. We're looking at keeping under the necessary temperatures, looking at safety and security in terms of that. And then the rollout for each area. I've got this now out of the latest planning that for the garden route, the target in phase 2 is 206,000 people. And then for phase 3, it's another 221,000 people to be vaccinated. And again, as I've indicated, we are waiting for finality in terms of who will be covered. Now it is still the essential workers, etc. We're planning for, and each of the local municipalities is looking at fine-scale planning for the rollout at each of the local municipal areas, and then also for phase 3. That is my couple of slides. Just remember, COVID is still out there, and please adhere to the COVID protocols as I've put up on the screen. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gerard. I see some newspapers printed in Afrikaans van die 15de Mei gaan die derde golf ons tref. So I appreciate your presentation much more from what we read in papers nowadays.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chair, I've just got a question for Gerard. There was a last week when the national government put out that over 60s can register to receive the vaccination. I've received a phone call from one of my aunts that is staying in Riversdale, and they are currently Issaquah, but she couldn't find the Issaquah portal, can I say, on that where they're supposed to register. So eventually someone assisted her and told her that previously they fall under, the name was, before it changed to Issaquah, the name was Langeberg. So they had to go into Langeberg municipality, and then she was able to register. But now there's another Langeberg, I think somewhere in up, is it Ashton Robertson is also Langeberg. So now my question is, whose responsibility is it to correct that on the portal, because it's causing a lot of confusion? Surely they were supposed to update the information and update the Langeberg that used to be Riversdale, Heidelberg, Slangenrivier, Stilbaai, and those areas to Issaquah. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you. Can I, before you respond, Gerard, I would like to give our Executive Mayor, Alderman Boyson, an opportunity, and an Alderman van der Hoven. Is that all, Rihanna? Only two. Thank you. Please proceed, Executive Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Alderman Boyson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on this point and on this issue raised by Elder Lady Wolmerans, I would like to suggest, and it's something that we need to put our heads together. I would like to suggest between my office, the MM's office, that we come up with a district vaccination program, and whatever we want to call it, but we need to take the lead so that all these areas, can get guidance from the top. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Executive Mayor. Alderman van der Hoven.
I want to ask a question that I think there isn't the answer, but I want to know, how can we prevent a third wave?
Yeah. Discipline is one of the responses. But thank you. Any further input or comment on this item?
Speaker, I would just like to take note of the report on behalf of the council. So I propose that we accept the report from Mr. Otto. Thank you ever so much.
Thank you. Can I just ask Mr. Gerard Otto to respond to Elder Lady Wolmerans' response?
Speaker, yes, first of all, it was also mentioned at the huddle from Department of Health about the challenges at Issaquah. It has been raised to the National Department of Health, who's responsible for the rollout of the EVDS system, that is the registration system being used, and they will rectify that. It's their responsibility to do it. It's in terms of that we also have identified that there's challenges in terms of the booking system, which we feel needs to be fine-scaled. But yeah, as with any new thing, there's teething problems, but most of this has been resolved already. I will follow up for Councillor Wolmerans in terms of the Langeberg issue. I'm sure that it's been resolved over the weekend because we mentioned that on Friday again. We have got weekly feedback to the Department of Local Government as well as to the Department of Health. So there is weekly feedback, and I try to update all the municipal managers on a weekly basis as well. In terms of preventing a third wave, Councillor van der Hoven, if we don't have herd immunity, The only thing we can do is adhere to the protocols of avoiding mass gatherings, etc., and wearing your mask and sanitizing frequently. Other than that, it's getting to a point where there's herd immunity and getting as most people vaccinated as possible. In terms of the request from the mayor, I think my municipal manager and I will speak about that to get the rollout of the district vaccination plan more out there so that people can see what's going to happen. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you. No more input or comment. Can I then get a seconder? Got a proposal? Thank you, Councillor Lose.
I was second, Speaker.
Thank you. You've got 2 seconds. Seconders. Thank you. G1, this reports from the Roads and Transport, the Planning Services Department. G1 is the quarterly report regarding the progress of the Roads Department and the financing projections, pages 206 to 211. Any input or comment?
Yes, thank you, Speaker. There's just a correction. That is on the financials on 6.3. Due to last minute changes with our budget, that amount was, the total spent was 163,515,000, which means effectively on page 207, going down, you will see that within the highlights there, the total budget spent is now 98.5% and not 99%.
Thank you very much, Executive Manager. I'm going to say your surname now correctly, Daniels. Or not your, and your first name, Mr. John Daniels. But thank you so much. And from my side, thank you so much for your department's responses. You know, when you're a ward councillor, you've got a big ward. Fortunately, I've got a PR councillor here sitting at my right-hand side that now assists me in that ward because the other councillor passed away due to a heart attack. I think he couldn't take the pressure any longer. But thank you so much for your department. I really appreciate it. Like in small things like in the Bartelsfontein Road. The difference that makes to those people staying there. It's incredible. So my sincerest thanks, if I may say so, from the chair side, also for excellent work done. And you know, people are complaining. I had to travel, let me just share with you, more than 200 Ks with 2 councillors of Mossel Bay after I had a meeting with the municipal manager as a garden councillor. And I traveled that morning 210 Ks just around to say, look at this and look at that. And the responses was almost immediate. So if I may, thank you for allowing me the house for doing that, Councillor Harris.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just one simple question, an informed question. Do we have a district road master plan? And is there any talks about the road between George and Oudtshoorn, where the 2 lines stop? Because it's a little bit uncomfortable up till the fork to Joburg and Oudtshoorn. Are they going to upgrade also that part? I know it might not fall under us, but is there any intention to upgrade that road?
Any further input or comment on this item?
Yes, Speaker, if I may answer. Councillor, the next report that will come to Council, that will be on all the upgrades in the whole garden district area from the provincial.
I cannot hear anything, Speaker.
Thank you. Hier die mic drukkie.
Thank you very much. Now sounds much better. Thank you.
Thank you for that question, Councillor. The next report, it will go to Council by the end of May, will be on all the projects that's listed from the provincial government, Western Cape side, in the whole of Garden Route area. But I will give you feedback on that after this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Speaker, if I may, just one more correction. On page 210, if you look there on highlights, going to the last minute of this report, I said there, I alluded to the fact that 4 ladies acquired their heavy-duty licenses. As of today, it is 7 ladies that got their Code 14 licenses. One just passed this morning. And also referring to the 61 PWP workers appointed for slum project. I just want to thank the municipal manager also for his assistance in this regard.
Thank you very much, Executive Mayor.
Mr. Speaker, that is brilliant news. When can I come for my Code 14?
I think you must be a lady, sir.
Yeah. I can't remember. I can't recall that I ever saw a lady driving a grader. But it's good news. I saw the next program as well. Excellent. My apologies. Thank you. There you've got it. Now for the input or comment, can I get a proposal and seconder?
So proposed, Speaker.
Thank you, Elder Lady Kritzinger.
I'll second it, Speaker.
Thank you, Elder Lady Wolmerans. Prachtig. Dames. Man, dis my soos musiek in die ore, daai twee pragtige raadsdames. En hulle is so half so in 'n koor, in 'n koor, in 'n choir. Excellent. Keep it. Net nie moeg raak hier daarvoor nie. Go for it. Thank you. Then we move to G2. That's a report regarding the mentorship program of the Roads Department, pages 212 to 220. Any input or comment?
Take notes, Speaker.
Thank you. We've got a proposal from Elder Lady Anna Kritzinger on G2 with thanks. Adopted. Seconder. Thank you, Councillor Lose.
By die dames.
Just like it. Dis 'n lekker reisies nou aan die gang. Okay, thank you. Can we then move to H1, report on the lease of Nooit Gedacht and Groenewaldfontein Farms in the Oudtshoorn area to Western Cape Honeybush Tea Cooperative Pty Limited. Thank you. Thank you, Mel.
Can I carry on? Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, currently we have a lease agreement in place in terms of the mandate of our municipal manager for the Western Cape Honeybush Tea Cooperative. They are 100% black-owned co-op that is established on our on the Nooit Gedacht and Groenewaldfontein farms in the Oudtshoorn area. We have a lease agreement that we've signed with them from March, as of 1 March 2021, so end of February 2024. What we are requesting, Council, is that in terms of what we've seen, how they are progressing, even in this past month, what they have done on that farm and how hard they are working, the commitment that they are showing, the skills that complement each other of everyone that is involved there, that we are asking Council that we go out on a public participation process as to give them a long-term lease agreement, to give them the opportunity to become sustainable farmers. They have the potential actually to become commercial farmers and to access the export market with the kind of products that they will produce on those farms. We are proposing a 9-year lease with the option of after the 9 years to determine how to assess how far they have progressed, but with the option then to extend that lease agreement so that they can become proper commercial farmers.
and really make be a success story of this council. I don't know if there's any questions, Speaker, but what will happen after the public participation process, we will come back to council to get final approval from council to be able to then sign a long-term lease agreement for those farmers. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you so much, Mel. I don't know how to put it in English, but dit doen 'n mens hard goed om dit te lees. Dit sien baie dankie ook vir jou. Thanks a lot for that. Thank you. Any further input or comment on this excellent report?
Speaker, I would like to propose that this report be accepted. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councillor Ida Smoot.
I second.
There you go. Seconded by Elder Lady Ida Kutsinger. Thank you. We move to H2. And we would love to see one day, go see and have a look-see at what's happening there, like we did with the Spakboom piece, Mr. Mayor. But yes, you've got it. H2, Property Administration Fee 2021. Pages 326 to 328. Thank you, Elder Lady Kutsinger.
Yes, thank you, Chair. The property section receives various requests on a daily basis regarding the leasing and the alienation or alienation of council properties. These requests, unfortunately, have enormous costs to council, and because of the research and the endless hours to determine ownership, the zoning, and the valuations of the properties. The administrative duties really involve a lot of time-consuming, or it's very time-consuming and costly to council. So Garden Route will not be the first municipality to basically institute such an administrative fee to be payable to applicants when it comes to these requests. The request is that a 2,200 Rand fee will be payable by applicants and will be non-refundable. And I just want to propose that council adopts the recommendation as on page 326. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you so much, Elder Lady. Seconder?
I'll second it, Speaker.
Prachtig. Thank you, Elder Lady Pomerans. The next item is H3, Resource Accommodation Booking and Concession Policy 2021, pages 329 to 341. Input or comment on that?
Yes, the item is withdrawn with respect. There are still matters that we must attend to, and we will probably come back in May with the revised.
Speaker, thank you very much. I would also like to sort of throw another or ask the municipal manager to also look into the accommodation or the percentage of accommodation that is basically by municipal officials regarding, for instance, the roads department when they work in that area and they occupy or they basically stay there for a while. Do these departments pay for the accommodation? Because I really think there will be funds available somewhere, but also with training sessions that are held at Cllr Store, for instance, that departments must really from their budget pay regarding whatever percentage they have to pay for the accommodation, because it does cost the council a lot of money to have these people staying there, but also to take that into consideration. Please, Mr. Speaker, thank you so much.
Thank you, Elder Lady. Any councillor that would like to submit comments, MM? I'm sure that, like we've read now, welcome to do that. Because I've withdrawn, it's now withdrawn. I would rather give the opportunity for you to respond later and whatever comments you receive in the end.
That's correct, Speaker, and we will welcome any comments from councillors on the item.
Thank you, MM. Thank you. Can we then move to the agreements to develop and manage and operate Cllr property? H4, pages 342 to 381. Any input or comment? Alderman Gericke, anybody else? Executive Mayor, you raised your hand as well. Thank you, Alderman Gericke. Please proceed.
Speaker, thank you. I take note of the recommendations. I just want to understand or find out, last week, recently, a media statement has been released on one of our pages with regard to a meeting held between the Gona Hesekwe Khoi community in the chamber with some of our officials or politicians, I'm not sure. I understand that it pertained to the Cllr resort. Some concerns were raised in that meeting. If we approve this today, this item today, what would be the effect on those talks, so to speak, and in terms of the way forward? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Alderman Gericke. Any further input? I want the Executive Mayor to further make comments on this in this regard, to share it with us. If none, can I then give you the opportunity? Thank you, Mr. Executive Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The MM will respond to the question raised by Alderman Gericke. I just want to bring in another dimension to this item. Mr. Speaker and colleagues and officials, those who are not aware, a couple of weeks ago, we also experienced invaders on that property. We all know that we are in the season of claimants coming forward because of, for whatever reasons. But I'm raising this, Mr. Speaker, because I need to inform Council that my office and the Municipal Manager's office, I reported this briefly in the strategic session, but I'm now doing it officially. We are aware and we are concerned about the outstanding claims on our resorts. We have made contact with commissioners, land claims commissioners, and we specifically raised the issues of our resorts, especially Cllr.Dorp, and we've been briefed in terms of the investigations which happened more than 10 years ago. They have promised us that they will be following up on that. And we've agreed that we need to have that probably by the end of next month. And we are on file, but I don't know whether the MM would be in a better position to give more on this. But I'm raising this, Mr. Speaker and councillors, because I am back with a mission on revamping the resorts or making sure that those resorts don't cost us 7 million per annum. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Executive Mayor. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. No, the decision today will not be impacted by the process we've had with the Khoisan leaders that were here. What is happening is that since 1st of April, the Khoi and San Traditional Leadership Authority Act has been passed, the Act 3 of 2019. Now, it's happening throughout the country. People are looking at land that they are claiming to be theirs in anticipation of the formal establishment of those communities having to serve in councils. In our case, we met with the leadership that had wanted to see us, and it was quite a very positive meeting. In fact, what they wanted is exactly what this council is doing, not to leave the Cllr property dilapidated for any longer. We did explain to them what we're doing. We then established some kind of relations to talk and see how we take it forward. So what is being decided today is not contrary to what they are looking for. We But in anticipation of that, I have circulated information to all senior managers and management to familiarize themselves so that we can be able to engage with whoever comes to us to want to claim their space or their stake in the process. So that is the situation.
Thank you very much. We also discussed it briefly at the Speakers Forum on last Friday. Cllr entertained us with his views. Advocate Quest. Thank you. There you got it. No further questions. Can I then get a proposal and a seconder for that? Please.
I propose, Speaker.
Oops. Executive Mayor. Thank you. Proposed by Councillor Strubo.
I'll second that.
Thank you so much, Elder Lady. Kleinhans. Thank you. Dis nie verkleinerend as ek sê Kleinhans nie, partykeer raak dit mekaar met alliansies. Dit Bommerans en Kleinhansie, weet nie. So maar dit was nie verkleinerend bedoel nie. Dis 'n Kleinhans nie. Ek dink ons raadsdame is 'n groot Hansie. Thank you. That concludes just the minutes of the enclosed session, not enclosed in committee session, in closed session only. Can we say bye-bye? Or before we do that, we are now moving into closed session. So any comments on the correctness of the minutes, then I'll have to ask everybody to excuse themselves. If there are none, no corrections, then I request a proposal in the seconder for the correctness only thereof. Alderman Kritzinger, dit is die laaste asem wat sy amper uitgeblaas het nou daar, but I appreciate it. Thank you, Councillor Spies. Seconded. Let me. Okay. Councillors, aldermen, elder ladies, aldermen, councillors, colleagues, staff, secretariat, you and your wonderful team of all personnel. We always brag with you wherever we go. But thank you so much for your attendance and thank you so much for your participation. It was very constructive. And we're moving forward with great speed. And thank you so much for that. Elder Lady Kritzinger, would you like to close the meeting with a prayer?
No.
Well, okay.
I've got something else on the heart. Greg Foster and his team that won the Oscar for my octopus teacher. I really think there is something to be proud of. So maybe Speaker from your office, you should maybe send them congratulations from the Garden District Council and everybody. Thank you so much.
I'll definitely do that, but I think we should also place on record that Marshall Bay was also congratulated as a municipality, the best run municipality. I think we should just place it on record.
That wasn't, no, that wasn't.
I don't.
That wasn't. That wasn't.
No, we only got it last week. We only got it last week again.
And that wasn't an Oscar.
It was the Oscar, it was a great Oscar. But thank you so much. I will see to it that we convey congratulations for the octopus in the other buy. Thank you so much. Enjoy. Stay safe.